We are using the Medibang Paint app for iPad to create a digital scratch art project. Before you begin, you're going to want to take a reference photograph either of yourself, someone you know, or a pet. Please have a strong directional lighting in your reference photograph and save it as a black and white image on your device. When you open the Medibang Paint app, you're going to select to create a new canvas. Under Preset, you're going to click Device Size, and you're going to scroll down and look for Letter Size. From here, you should click Inches, and you should make sure that the width and height are 10.98 and 8.50. You can switch these if your image is a vertical image. Just to give you a little bit of background with this project, we are going to be using the eraser tool as our main way of drawing. We're going to be erasing away from a black layer that is overlapping your image layer, and you're going to be removing away highlights. These are some completed student examples. All of the marks that were made in this drawing were done using the eraser tool. By using a combination of small hatching lines, cross-hatching, and stippling, students are able to create the different values and textures that are seen in their portrait or animal portrait. Okay, so we are going to get started by setting up the new canvas. Your screen might look different if you are on a newer version of Medibang Paint. You want to set up your canvas so it is either in portrait or landscape, depending on your reference image. When you set up your layer, initially, you should resize it so it fits on your screen. You're going to click the plus sign in your layers bar and add a new layer on top. You are going to fill this layer with black by clicking the Paint Bucket tool on the top menu bar and then clicking your layer to apply the color. You're going to drop this down to 50% opacity. We're going to add in your reference picture that you'd like to use for this project. So if you're doing a portrait, try to scale it up so it fills the size of your paper. You don't want to extract line art. That will make your picture transparent. What I'm doing is I am moving the reference picture layer underneath the black layer and changing the black layer opacity to 50%. So you should have on your screen, on your layers, the top layer is your black layer with the opacity at 50%, your middle layer is your reference picture, and your bottom layer is a transparent layer. Always in the black layer, have that highlighted. It should show that it's blue. You're going to go to the top menu bar eraser tool, and then you're going to click to change the size of your eraser tool. You want to make sure that the opacity of your eraser tool is at 100%, so you're fully erasing through the black layer. And then using either your finger, a stylus, whatever you have access to, you're going to start to erase away the highlights of your picture using hatching marks, cross-hatching, or stippling as needed. The closer together your lines are, the lighter the area will be. So in this project, you're only erasing away the bright highlights and the midtones. You are leaving the shadows as is, so that way they are not completely erased, and your black layer will reveal those shadows. While you're working on erasing away the highlights and values in your reference photograph, it's important to continue to use a small size eraser tool, and it's important to change the angle and direction of the lines that you are making, so that way you can do your best to show us the form of the portrait or the animal that you are trying to recreate. It is also important to note that when you are erasing away some marks from more shadowy areas, they may not show up quite as bright looking, and that's just because, again, you're erasing into a darker valued area, so your marks won't be as bright, and that's okay. You don't need to erase away so much into really dark shadowy areas, because again, this project really reinforces just erasing away more highlighted areas and middle value areas. It's obviously important to mention that you should be saving your work pretty frequently. In Medibang Paint, the 3 lines in the upper left-hand corner will give you a drop-down menu so you can save your work directly to its gallery within the program. And then on the bottom menu, you'll notice there's a little tray with an arrow pointing down, and that tool will allow you to also save frequently right from there. So please make sure you are saving because you don't want to lose your progress on your work. So at this point, I'm continuing to work my way around the face. I'm being really selective about where I want to use hatching lines, cross hatching, or stippling to create the different features and textures on the face. And I'm trying to use lines that really follow with the different curves of the face. I'm looking for bright highlights, which you can erase out fully, and I'm looking for little areas that need detail, anything that I think is important to show in the drawing when we remove the reference picture layer from underneath. That's what I want to be erasing out. We have to think about what are you left with. So from time to time, it's also cool if you click the eye icon next to your reference picture layer. This will hide your reference picture and you'll be able to see what your drawing looks like. What's so nice about working on an iPad with this type of project is that you can zoom in and out of the picture and get up nice and close to really look for details that need to be erased out. Inside the areas like the eye, you don't need to worry about doing so much of the cross-hatching, but instead you can look for more solid areas that need to get erased away. So now as you start to place in the hair texture, it's a good idea to change your brush size to be a little bit larger than what you were using for your portrait, and it's important to erase away from the bright spots in the hair, the highlights that you see, and make sure you're creating lines that have some variety to them in terms of how spaced out they are. Try to draw your lines in the direction that the hair is growing in, and try to think of it as like a little bit more sketchy. You do need to add a decent amount of lines on top of and around each other to give it the volume and to give it that illusion of hair when you're done. It is also good to mention that since you're doing a portrait, you should erase away some information so that way you can understand that the head is supported by the neck and shoulders. If not, you will just look like you are a floating head in a dark background. So continue to go back and use a small size eraser tool brush and erase away the different values that you see in the neck, chest, and shoulder area. If you want to erase away a little bit of your negative space, that's acceptable too, but you don't have to, so that's up to you. So now it's time to check out your Scratchboard image. So what you want to do is in your layers box, next to your reference picture layer, you are going to click the eye icon so that way your reference picture is hidden. And then you're going to click the black layer and bring the opacity up to 100%. What you'll see me doing now is I'm going back into the black layer with the eraser brush tool, and I'm just adding in some different lines and brush strokes with that eraser tool to sort of fill out the portrait until I get it to look exactly how I want it to look for contrast purposes. When I'm done, I'm going to click the 3 lines in the upper corner and save the drawing to my camera roll.